Hey guys, MJ here, and today we want to talk about 5 shocks that we had as an American family living in Germany about the school system here. Getting our kids started in schools was an important part of the process to integrate into life here in Leipzig, Germany. Along the way, there were definitely some surprises about the schools here. Now, moving to a new country is always going to come with shocks, it's always going to come with surprises, and that doesn't necessarily make the new country better or worse than the country that you came from. It's just different. And these were things that stood out to us as different about the school system here in Germany. As a family with 4 children, schooling is incredibly important. If you watched our video about 5 reasons we came to Germany, one of the things we love about the school system here is how accommodating they are to integrate foreigners into the German school system with their Deutsche als zweite Sprache classes. So that's a great part of the schools here. However, there were some things that definitely surprised us as our kids got started in school, and today we are going to talk about that. If this is your first time watching our channel, we're an American family of 6 who sold or gave away everything we owned about 7 months ago to move to Leipzig, Germany to follow our dreams to live internationally as a family. And we're sharing all our experiences with you. So first up in the surprises or shocks about the school system here in Germany was how hard it was to get our youngest into kindergarten. Now, kindergarten here is much different than kindergarten in the US. In the US, kindergarten is part of the elementary school program. It's part of the mandatory schooling. Here, kindergarten is more like preschool would be in the United States. So it's not mandatory, which makes it more difficult to get your child started in it. For us, it was a process that took months. It was registering with the city. It was getting on the website to find kindergartens with available spaces. It was emailing, it was calling, it was setting up appointments. It was a process that took overall about 4 months before our daughter could actually get started in kindergarten. It took a long time, and that was really surprising for us because even in the US, getting your child into preschool and getting your child into kindergarten is a very easy process. It's registering, it's paying, and it's going, and that was about it. Here, it took much longer. Part of that might have been the language difficulties and having to set up the appointments and getting the calls. Part of it might be because of the growth of the city, that there's not as many spaces available in the kindergartens. Part of it might have been due to Corona and having less teachers available and things like that. Whatever the reason was, that was a shock for us, how hard it was to get our daughter started in kindergarten. Now, shock number 2 to go right along with it was how cheap kindergarten was. So again, kindergarten being more compared to preschool in the US, you do pay for it. It is not part of the mandatory schooling, so it's not included. However, kindergarten and a preschool here at the same cost is extremely affordable. In the States, for our preschool for the kids, I think at one point we were paying close to $900 a month for preschool for one of our children. Here, for the kindergarten costs, it is about 50 or 60 euro a month, and that is it. And that covers your care. We have her going for about 6 hours a day, and that 60 euro covers all that. So it is extremely affordable. Even the cost of lunch, which is a little bit extra if you do want your child to eat lunch at the school, is very, very affordable. I think we pay about 36 euro a month for that. All in, we're under 100 euro for the care, for the education, and for the food for the day for our daughter. So affordable compared to preschools in the US, and that was an amazingly happy shock that we had about the school system here in Germany. Now, the next shock we had was how short the regular school day is. That was really, really surprising for us. Now, we did hear a little bit about it before we came here, but when we started taking our son to school, to the Grundschule, the elementary school here, his school day started at about 7:30 and it ended at about 11:30. 4 hours, that was it. In the States, for comparison, our elementary school started at about 8 o'clock and ended at about 3 p.m. So, a full long 7-hour day compared to the 4 hours. And it's just part of the system here. And again, there's nothing necessarily bad or worse about it in comparison to the system in the US. It was just very, very different from what we're expecting. Now, I will say one of the negatives about that was that if you are a working family, if you do have parents with 2 jobs, it does become much more difficult to balance all the scheduling and everything like that. However, both of us working from home, we had the flexibility to be able to drop off and pick up and things like that. So for us, it was okay. However, we felt that as he's learning German, it was really important for him to get that extra time with his peers, with the teachers, using those German language skills. And so available here in Germany is what's called Hort. It's after school care. You can sign up your child for the after school program where they can stay for a period of time time, that you determine, whether it be 1 hour, 3 hour, 4 hours. So now our son is signed up for the Hort program, and he stays in the school till 3 p.m. So now he has about a normal U.S. school day, but only about 4 hours of that is the education time, and then the time after that is free time, essentially playing with other students. There's building rooms where you can build with blocks and Legos and things like that. There's art rooms. There's all sorts of different activities for him to do. But again, the biggest part is the interaction with his peers, the interaction with German-speaking students and teachers, and just, again, getting that integration into the culture and into the language is an important part of that. So the shock was short school days, 4 hours, and he was done. But the great thing about it is the availability of that after school program that gives him more free time with his peers to play and learn the German culture and the German language. So that's great. Going back to the affordability of the kindergarten, the affordability of the after school program is great as well. Again, about €60 a month, and he has that care from about 11:30 till about 3 p.m. Very affordable if you do need that extra care. And then having that after school program does give us more flexibility in our schedule for when we can pick him up, and for working during the day gives us more time to have focused work time while he's there in that after school program. Now, another surprise for us about the schools here in Germany was that they still do penmanship and cursive handwriting. In the US, cursive handwriting has been all but phased out. I don't think any of our kids were learning cursive in any of the schools they were in a few of the different states that we lived in. I think cursive is just done. I believe they're taught it to be able to recognize it and read it, but not so much to write it. But here in Germany, they are still writing in cursive in schools, kind of like when I grew up, where you have your lined paper and you're working on your letters and things like that. That is something that they're still doing here. And so seeing our kids coming home from school with letters and writing exercises, and again having that be in cursive was a big surprise. I didn't think they did that anymore, but here it is still a thing, and it's really cool. And I think it's a good skill to have, to be able to write in the different styles, cursive, print, and obviously to be able to recognize those styles when you're reading letters and notes from teachers and things like that. It's great to have, but it was a surprise that they are still teaching cursive handwriting. Another surprise for us is that technology is not used nearly as much here as it was in the States. In the States, in the schools that our kids were in, they were actually providing Chromebooks or iPads to the kids to do work on and to learn the technology. They were doing things like typing and, basic coding things, and using computers was a big part of the education system. Here, it's not been a focus at all, and even using technology to communicate with the schools and with the teachers is a lot less common than it would be for us in the States. So that was a shock as well, is that technology is really not a big thing in the schools here. And our last shock has more to do with our older daughters than with the younger kids. In the gymnasium, which is the high school here, the structure of the school day and the time of the school day is a lot more flexible and a lot less rigid than what I would have expected in any school system. And here's what I mean. If a teacher is sick, our kids have actually gotten an email saying, hey, don't come to school today, I'm sick. Or if one of their teachers is sick, but they have different classes in the afternoon, they've been told, come in late, come in for zweite Stunde, second period, and don't come in for first. Or if a teacher has an appointment in the afternoon, they'll just send the kids home. So our kids go to school at different times in the morning. They come home at different times in the afternoon. Sometimes they get told not to come to school at all. That was a big shock. The school day is not rigid. It's not this set time. It is, hey, if you have a class, you're there. If you don't have a class, you're not there. So it's great for the older kids. It's great that they can get to and from school by themselves, so we don't have to worry about the different times that they're getting there and coming home. So we're thankful that they're old enough to take care of that themselves. But that was definitely a huge shock for us, is that, man, their day is not rigid. Their day is not set in stone. Is that whatever happens that day could be different. So those are 6 surprises or 6 shocks for us here about the school system in Germany. I'd love to hear what you think about the school system here in Germany. If you are from outside of Germany and moved here, what were some of the things that surprised you about the school system in Germany? If you're German, what do you think of these surprises? Are these things just totally normal for you? Have you lived anywhere else and came back to the German school system, and do you appreciate these things? Do you not like these things? Whatever it is, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. We would love it if you'd click on that like button and subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed. It really helps us out as we're growing our channel and sharing our journey as an expat family here in Germany. If you haven't already seen why we moved to Germany, we have a video on 5 of the top reasons we decided to move to Germany. Go ahead and click on that link and take a look, and we will see you next time.